So does anybody happen to have any specific examples where drones have been used to save lives, or maybe even could be credited with potentially saving lives by having them in your operations?
Well, I'll start out with that one. First off, I want to thank everybody. It's an honor to be on this panel with these guys, and thanks for the invitation. You know, LAFD started using drones in 2017, and the program was getting developed well before that. We launched our drone for the first time at the Skirball fire, and what we've been able to do at brush fires and wildland fires is identify hotspots where crews can go in and extinguish those hotspots. And what that does is it saves lives and property, because a lot of times we lose houses and homes from these fires. The Santa Ana winds will kick up and they'll rekindle a fire in a certain area where crews have already left that area. So what we'll do is we'll fly our drones through there and we'll identify where some of these hotspots are, and we're able to actually extinguish them, and certainly saving a lot more homes and, you know, possibly lives also. And then I know Wayne has mentioned it already, but to identify dangerous areas on a panelized roof during a structure fire, to keep crews away from those areas, and to identify any other types of situations that, you know, the situational awareness that you get with drones is really a lot of value in that alone. And that's with every type of rescue we're doing. But so you have structure fires, you got brush fires, search and rescue, obviously, it gives us an advantage there. We can go on and on all the different types of use cases, but what I've been amazed at in the last 2 or 3 years is the adoption of drones for public safety, and then how public safety has worked together to establish how we're going to actually use these aircraft to be successful at an event, whether it's a search and rescue or a brush fire. And we're continuing to use this stuff. The technology's continuing to expand, and it's been a fast, hard, fun ride. So
we one of the great things we were able to get together and post up this year, it has a lot of these cases where drones have been used to save lives around the world, and we have almost 500 documented cases right now where drones, and it's not specific to DJI, but where drones have been used to save lives. Again, like I said, around the world, and that's our life-saving map that we have that shows. You can go in there. It's a live map. You can click and see anywhere around the country or again, the world, where a life has been saved with a drone. And that's a really great tool, something we want to keep growing. So as people know of situations where lives have been saved, they can go ahead and, submit that information and get it put on the map. Because I think that helps the industry as a whole to document these, and it helps public safety as they're trying to get the decision makers to either fund or let them go forward with this program to show that drones truly are saving lives. And I've been able to use them a couple of times for myself on water rescues to actively save lives. But I also like to talk about the passive lives that we're able to save, and that's times when we didn't realize we might have saved a life. Again, we go back to the roof integrity and knowing that. How do we know we didn't break the chain of events right there that could have caused injury or death? Or again, being able to a specific is recently in our area, there was a car in the water. Initially, it thought it was going to be a water rescue. Well, now instead of putting rescuers in the water to check the car and see how many victims are in there, they were able to fly over and see nobody was in that vehicle. Now we haven't put rescuers in the water, and it just became a downstream search from there. But that's another thing I like to look at is on the law enforcement side, times when we can get someone to we can box them in, kind of wait the situation out, and now they have not made a rash decision or a dumb decision that has caused an officer to defend their life. And I think that protects everybody in careers too, and liability. So these are a lot of great uses for saving lives.
Yeah, I can add to that real quickly that, yeah, in addition to the great work Wayne and the team at DJI has been doing about pushing out those lives, which are easily measurable, anybody who's got some experience with drones and seen them in action really see the benefit on those passive lives that are saved. It's always hard to prove a negative or measure what didn't happen. Certainly Don has 100 stories about DFR that are just very clear, or seeing kids with BB guns that, might have turned out differently. But like Wayne alluded to, just being able to spend 30 minutes on an accident scene to do 3D reconstruction rather than tying up a road for 4 hours that could cause accidents for not only people on the road or the senior volunteers that are out there all night directing traffic. So those passive ones are harder to measure, but become very clear. And I think that's the benefit of these panels, to talk to people like us and get agencies who are on the fence to say, hey, talk to some people around you that are using them. You get some really good examples of use cases.
One more thing I'd like to mention, and that was some good information, Fritz, is we're saving lives and property, but these agencies and departments, while they're thinking about a program, should be also considering the fact that it's saving a lot of time and money. So these drones, we're able to go out and fly and do brush clearance and understand we're taking 3 or 4 inspectors out of the way where they can actually use their time more creatively to do the inspections. And we're able to inspect, 30, 40 parcels rather than having each inspector go to those parcels individually. And not only that, but we stay out of their yards, we stay out of their way to do this and basically check those off as we go. And then as far as, we're keeping firefighters and police out of harm's way, and we're able to, for instance, a SWAT team going into a forcible entry into a home. I've heard of several instances where the person in there is already shot or dead or whatever happened, the person that they were actually going after. And they were able to identify that quickly and release the teams quickly because they're able to send a drone in to see what was going on. I mean, I could get into the stories, they're pretty long, but I just wanted to give an example. These are situations where we're able to release crews, hundreds of fire crews we're able to release from an area because we're able to identify that this area is safe now, and it works on both sides, police and fire.
Right. Yeah. Derrick, you kind of touched on something that leads into my next question. You mentioned how drones can be used to kind of help with some cost savings by using them in your operations. So for agencies that want to start a program so that they can use UAS as a tool to better serve their citizens, how do you suggest that they sell this concept to their agency leaders and decision makers, elected officials, or even the general public, the citizens that they're going to serve? How do you suggest that they help kind of sell this concept to all these different groups?
Well, I think seeing is believing. We can try to, I've learned from this industry, even from the commercial side, that when you're trying to explain to somebody what you can do with a drone, it just, for some reason, doesn't calculate. But when you show them, when they have the hands-on use case scenarios, they're able to see that, then everything changes. Even the people that maybe not were excited before, they just immediately want to buy into this concept because you can prove it by showing it. So I'll give you an example. Neighboring agencies should work with each other to help, and that happens a lot with mutual aid and working with police are working with fire. We're showing each other our capabilities and learning what this technology can do. But if we did a demonstration, even a search and rescue, and we were to put somebody out in the field and put a drone up at 100 feet high and use a thermal image, a thermal camera to actually sweep a large field and be able to identify on a large screen for the incident commander and everybody else there that's there to see the operation, how quickly you can actually find that victim with a thermal camera and a drone, and you're actually alleviating hundreds of search and rescue people. And they're still working, but you're covering more area quicker. And so these are the types of scenarios. And then to be able to take a tower, take a training tower, set it on fire and show what a thermal image can do, giving you all the real-time information you get from that. And then the transmitting of that signal. So to be able to transmit the signal to the IC on a big monitor and to have him request to have a visual of anywhere on that fire, to be able to get a drone there immediately and they can see how close the fire is burning to a structure, be able to send crews to that area. those are the kind of valuable scenarios that seeing is believing. So being able to do these demonstrations for public agencies, other agencies that don't have drones should be calling agencies that have drones to come out and help them, show them the proof of concept, and start sharing it in that way.
So Fritz and Don, the DFR program it's clearly proving to be very successful, but I got to imagine that a couple of years ago when you were getting ready to apply for the IPP, it was probably a little bit of a distant concept. How did you sell that to the leaders in your city?
So we like to tell people that we had a drone program for about a year before we ever purchased a drone. We made sure that we reached out to everybody, all of the stakeholders who would have an interest in us having UASs in the air. We met with the ACLU, we met with our elected officials, we met with community members. We did a lot of outreach. We developed policies. We created our department website with a link to our drone program for complete transparency, including the policy on there that we made it very clear that we would only, if you saw a Chula Vista Police Department drone in the air, that's because we are responding to an emergency. We do no proactive patrolling, looking for issues. And essentially when we're out on a mission, we fly to the mission, we resolve the mission, and we fly back. So it's pretty straightforward. I know Fritz was involved in the initial rollout of it, and he could probably give you a little more input as to exactly what was done.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the fact that Chula Vista was part of the IPP really greased the skids for Chula Vista. It got, kind of put a spotlight on the city and gave us permission to do things a little more advanced than other agencies. And it's still frustrating that it hasn't gone beyond Chula Vista fully with the beyond visual line of sight up to 3 nautical miles. I talk to agencies, in UAS team guys every day who are looking to do DFR. Don tells you that there's, probably 100 agencies have come toward Chula Vista. We just haven't broken that barrier yet. There's a lot of agencies that are doing DFR light, within visual line of sight, 1 mile radius. And if there's enough work around the launch site, that works fine. But getting to that next step where we can really enable multiple agencies in a variety of airspaces and environments to do DFR type operations, I think is when this industry takes really the next step, and then a lot of other use cases that advanced operations and that require advanced operation waivers really open up.
Okay, great.